Okay, so we have in mind that today we will focus very much on what we call digital competences. And that is because due to what we have experienced in Corona times, that it is very clear that as a teacher, as a researcher, as a scholar in general, we need to have specific competences to cope with, let's say, the fully online digital world in which we were thrown during this pandemic. And we will elaborate a little bit more on what kind of competences are we talking about, how do these competences relate to teaching and learning, especially. Are there any frameworks that we could use? How can we enhance, how can we improve, how can we grow in these competences? That will be the subject of today. And the subject of tomorrow will be more on assignments in the digital world and assessment, and the reason for that is if we talk about competences, then we would like to achieve certain levels, certain types of competences. And at a certain point, we also have to measure where are we in our journey towards more competences. Not only us as teachers, but also our students. And that means that we will focus a little bit more on how can we do proper assessment in this new digital world. That will be the subject of tomorrow. And on Thursday, we would like then, well, in the meantime, between Tuesday and Thursday, there is one day where there is no lectures, that's Wednesday. And we will give you some homework to do, a little assignment where you could also apply what we have learned on Monday and Tuesday about competences and assessment in your own situation. Within your own context, maybe your course, maybe a program in which you're involved, maybe your university in general, that we will explain a little bit more tomorrow, how to set up that assignment. And on Thursday, we will allow you to further discuss on what you have been doing on your own assignment, first in smaller groups, and then in plenum, we will try to share the ideas and to discuss further more in depth on all these aspects. Yes, Arushak, we will provide the recordings. That's actually mandatory in the PRINTeL project, so we will make sure that the recordings will be available. Okay, so the program is today competences, tomorrow assessment, and on Thursday reflection and feedback discussion. Okay, so getting introduced, I will just show a couple of slides to make an introduction to what Kristen will tell. If we talk about teaching and learning in the 21st century, then there is a shift in paradigm. I mean, if you look, and I think I could show you the next slide, when my parents were studying, and yeah, my mother was a school teacher. And the way that she was teaching long time ago, that was that she was in front of the class, and the pupils in her class were listening to her and were doing what she was saying as a teacher and asking them to do. So that was the very well-known system where there is a teacher in front and the students are sitting in the classroom. But then when I was a student, well, it was not in the 90s, it was rather in the 80s, there was already a movement going on that we as students were more or less stimulated to be more active, and there was already some group work. For instance, in the labs, we were doing lab sessions with 2-3 students together. So there was already a sort of more active way of teaching and learning going on. But if you really look at how learning is happening at this moment, then there is no structure anymore, or there is a tendency that the structures of a teacher and students and a structure of learning is happening in a classroom, is happening on campus. That is no longer the case. All these walls, all these structures are broken down, and learning is actually now happening everywhere and at different times. When you're walking in the park, maybe you could learn about the birds that you see. When you're sitting on the bus from home to work or from home to school, you might listen to a podcast and learn while you're there. So there is a lot of opportunities nowadays where we could learn, when we could learn, and how we could learn. So it's not only listening to the teacher anymore, it could happening between the students and so on. So there is a whole new landscape that we experience when it comes to teaching and learning nowadays. And that is then asking the question, do we need, as teachers, new competences? Do we need, as teachers, to be much more aware of what is happening in that real world, in that digital world? What is how our students are familiar with the new technologies? Maybe is there for us as a teacher a reason that we should change our role from sage on the stage to guide on the side? I think I mentioned that when we were in Leuven as well. Our roles as teachers are changing, and that also means that our competences as teachers will change. Does that mean that we have to go so far that we are like a fully digitalized professor or teacher in a classroom? I'm not sure. Well, I'm sure it's not. And that is what we will try to explain to you during this training, that indeed we have to change our roles. Indeed, we have to acquire new competences as a teacher, but we should not exaggerate and going completely in the other direction and make a computerized or digitized version of ourselves as a teacher. I don't think that this is what we would like to bring as a message. I think that it's finding the right balance between what kind of new competences do we think we need, and how do we get these new competences at a comfortable level so that we could feel happy enough in that new digitized world as a teacher, communicating with the students of today. And I think that that this is the whole subject of today. How do we define these new competences? Why are they important, and how do we acquire new competences? I think that is then the subject of today. That was my introduction. I think that I will now give the floor to Chris to start with his explanation on competences. Maybe just one remark of practical reason, and that is that the whole training is scheduled for 4 hours, but we will include enough breaks so that you don't have to get bored, or that there is time for taking a coffee, even a lunch, and then I think that whenever you need a short break, let us know, and then we can take that into account. Okay. So that was my introduction. I will stop sharing this set of slides and now give the floor to Chris to continue.